talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
Lord, y'all, what I'm gonna do? Lord, y'all, this is all true. Fried chicken, fly vixen, give me heart disease, but need you in my kitchen. You a bird, but you ain't a key. Got wings, but you can't fly away from me. Driving in your bucket seats all the way from Kentucky to fuck with me. Look what you done to me, was number one to me. After you shower, you in your gold medal flower. Then you rub your hot oil for about a half an hour.
You are locked into RGP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the show where we hit all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, culture, and lifestyle. I see you, Andy, with that fried chicken reference in there, because that obviously is a link, a theme, if you will, for one of the stories that we're going to discuss in this hour. That's kind of crazy, but we'll get into that shortly. We always appreciate a good Nas vocal, and a visual, as long as it's not a performance. Nah, I'm just kidding. Kind of. We love you, Nas. I just would like your stage show to, step it up a little bit. To be more indicative of the vocal ability that you give, to what you give us on wax. Well, do we say on wax anymore? Probably not, but it's the theory of it. It's the feeling of hip-hop. On stream, for what you get from what you supply us with, we need to see that kind of energy on stage. But anyway, that is not the topic for tonight. Before we get into the KFC story, I forgot to mention, so today was the day, if you are a sports fan and you checked out Undisputed, there was the debut of Keyshawn Johnson, shout out to LA's own, Palisades and Dorsey High, USC's own, Keyshawn went to Palisades. He transferred to Dorsey for his senior year. So he only went to Dorsey for 1 year. So that's what's up with that. Shout out to that. Look at you. You didn't even know. You're supposed to know these things, Andy. That's your school.
I didn't know. Nobody talked about it.
Well, there you go. I just put you up on some game. Richard Sherman and Michael Irwin, they made their debuts on Undisputed this morning with Skip Bayless joining him. Lil Wayne also hopped up on there. He did a new opening theme song for them. He's been on the theme since the show debuted in 2015. So now that they're having a fresh look, fresh song, the new song is called Good Morning. It's a little hot, I will tell you what, though. Skip Bayless was reduced to a moderator.
Fact.
With the three of them
Did you
going
watch it?
in. I watched a bit of it. I caught it, and it was very loud.
Facts.
Very, very loud.
Yes.
A lot of crosstalk.
Yes.
And, I'm going to see what it looks like as the season goes on. I see what they're trying to do, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There were several moments where you could see Skip Bayless, like he was raising his hand to speak.
And that is so not Skip.
That's definitely not Skip. You could see it in his face, like he was seething to talk. I don't know if this is gonna work.
Because I just realized, I'm like, oh, they got rid of Jenny, or I don't remember the blonde moderator person.
Jen Hale.
Okay. So she's gone. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this all rolls out. They're probably, Rachel Nichols, we'll see her probably as we get closer to NBA season. We'll clock in with her next week on First Take, The Rivals on ESPN. Shannon Sharp is going to be dropping in with him and Stephen A on Mondays and Tuesdays. Another very loud show, I suspect. So it will be interesting to see the battle of the sports morning shows and how this sort of all shakes down.
They basically just did a trade.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
They did, and mixed up some of the parts on some of the daytimes that they'll see them on.
Basically. I will say this. I saw the whole episode today. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I was just a little bit disappointed in Richard Sherman.
Really?
And disappointed in the sense that, and it has nothing to do with him. I just think, like you said, 4 is just too many people. Shout out to Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn Johnson did very well. But I think...
see, I feel like Keyshawn has had the benefit of doing radio for a very, very long time. And, I mean, he's been commentating, obviously, for a while. So I think he kind of knows how to pick his spots.
I think he took over. I think he took over, even more so than Michael Irvin. I think after Michael Irvin got his cowboy talk done in the beginning, you could see he kind of fell back a little bit, especially when they talked about LeBron. He kind of fell back a little bit. But I just think 4 might be too much of a crowd. I would have loved to have heard a lot more from Richard Sherman, but I felt like he kind of got swallowed by a Keyshawn Johnson, who was very good and very polished, don't get me wrong. And, of course, you know what I'm saying, the flamboyantness of Michael Irvin. But I'm assuming that, obviously, this was the first day, so you're going to throw everybody in there. But as the days progress, it might just be a Skip and Richard Sherman by themselves. I know it's going to be a rotating situation.
I think that they're going to test it. I think they're going to test out. We're going to see all different versions until they find the one that hits, the one that clicks with the fans, the one that gives them the most insight. So I think we could see 4, we could see 2. We're going to see different versions until they get their mix going, because chemistry is a hard thing, and everybody's a professional, but blending all the voices together and making it go and making sure that it's entertaining for the fans, especially as we know Skip is going to run a Cowboys LeBron topic into the ground,
and they
baby.
Did that today.
Into the ground.
But yeah, when they first started with Skip and Shannon, there was a lot of criticism about their chemistry. Yeah. And it took some time for that to develop, and look where they at right now. But I will say, Skip does not need to be the moderator. They need to put somebody into that position.
And I don't think that they have room at the desk for another person. So I think that they want to it's very clear that they need it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I will say that.
Absolutely.
When we come forward, we will get into this KFC story. I know that you are waiting because you want to know what happened. We will also talk a little bit about who Eminem has sent a cease and desist letter to about utilizing his music. I'm going to share that with you. And we're, of course, going to talk about the top dirtiest cities in the U.S. and get into that. All of that and more. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Kate Levy. When I was just 10 years old, I lost my father, Joe, in the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. He was a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. For 9/11 this year, now a National Day of Service, I'll be doing what my dad loved to do, helping others in need. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. You know, we're going to hit up all of those trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. Of course, the chat is chatting. Tony Yayo is in the chat. He had some commentary on our last story. He asked, how does Undisputed make dollars? They only get 150 to 200,000 in ratings on a good day. And so I offered up ad revenue and maybe the podcast as an answer. And Tony said, I get that they need the shoulder programming, but these shows get such menial ratings and pay the personalities such outrageous salaries. I guess it may be a loss leader. And I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I think the bottom line is this. Look, they have programming hours. They have content that needs to be discussed across the board that fans want to hear. Who knows if they put a repeat in that place, they might get even lower ratings. So this might be, you know, what the expectation is. Obviously, across the board, as far as TV goes, ratings are not where they used to be. You know, like nothing is knocking it out the park. You got to think, like back in the day, a TV show would get like 20 million viewers. That was like average. That was cool, you know, for some stuff. So we're in a totally different time frame now. The clips go viral. They keep people locked into the station. And again, you know, it spreads across the properties that they have value in, like the NFL. So we'll have to see how it works out. I am curious to see how it all shakes and, you know, what it looks like in kind of a month or so as the chemistry comes together. So we'll be looking out for that because we're sports fans here. And the NFL season starts soon, right? Right. So there was a KFC ad that was shared on Twitter. It's actually for KFC Canada. And the director of marketing of KFC is the one that shared it. And he's based in Toronto. And the ad that he shared, he featured 3 different billboards. And what we know KFC's catchphrase is, it's finger looking good, right? So these 3 ads feature a statement and it says, silverware not required, right? Because it's finger looking good. And what you see is whether it's a spoon or a knife or a fork, you see the reflection of the individual not utilizing their silverware, and you see some KFC. And in the reflection, it was all black people taking a huge bite out of the chicken. And so people felt that it was racist, that KFC was being racially insensitive by running these ads and then doing so only featuring people of color. Well, they actually were other races that were featured in the ad, but this particular director of marketing, who was very excited about the campaign, only opted to share those three. So it became a little brouhaha on Twitter, and people were reacting, and they brought up the fact that that is why it is important to have diversity in the room, because logically speaking, if there was someone that was black, African American in the room, they might have made note that, hey, I don't know how this campaign is going to play. Or maybe when you put it out, maybe there should be more diversity as far as the lead images, because some people may not take it the way that you are wanting it to. Well, Azim, that is the marketing director's name, issued an apology, and he then showed some of the long actual commercial that is a clip that's featured with it, and some of the other imagery. And his apology said, "My earlier post didn't capture the full diversity of our latest campaign, and I personally apologize for not being more thoughtful in my excitement to share the campaign and only sharing certain photos. Here's the 60-second spot that is more representative of Canada's diversity and of our creative." So just, kind of wondering, are we being too sensitive? Are you still upset at the imagery of black people and fried chicken? Do you eat watermelon in mixed company? I mean, that type of stuff, it seems silly, but these are the kind of things that this stuff directly correlates with. And so just kind of wondering what your thoughts are on that. And if you feel a way, do you think that people were overreacting and it's just a case of social mediaing because they can? Or do you think that really it's something that they should have been more cognizant of? Andy, what do you say?
People should have been offended with the Popeyes commercial and the grandma lady.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Love my chicken? You mean the lady that
the black lady.
The black lady?
Yeah, they should have been offended by her. Why couldn't they have somebody else play that role?
Well, see, here's the thing, though. That is a good question, but it comes down to, okay, if you're honoring Cajun culture, right, and there are white Cajuns, what do you want? Do you want us to be represented? And do you want, we talk a lot about, at times, about how credit is taken from us, that, people will steal our style, steal our flow, and lay claim to it and not give us our just due. So those type of things come up when you see things like that.
Good point. And with that being said, I feel like it would be a lose-lose situation. You know what I'm saying? I understand representation, but we also don't want to feed into the stereotype.
Right.
So, how do you balance that?
I mean, it's kind of hard when we're, lining up for chicken sandwiches and causing a stir.
But here's the problem too, though. It's not just black folk up in them spaces.
Absolutely not. You are absolutely right. There was quite a plethora of races that were out there doing it. But I guess that's kind of the point. Are we being overly sensitive? Because there are a lot of other races that are involved, and everybody loves fried chicken. Fried chicken is Southern, not necessarily black, depending upon who you ask. But, are we taking note of the little sly ways where we've been dissed in the past and the little jokey jokes that slipped under the rug? Or is it an overcorrection? Because I think that in this era of a lot of things, there's been a lot of overcorrections because of the egregious violations that happened in the past.
Right. I think there could be a little bit of sensitivity there. I think every emotion is valid. I will say that. It's a tough bag. It's a mixed bag, honestly. Anytime anytime we have issues amongst us, we're definitely going to be sensitive.
Right.
You know what I mean? Can we dish it out? We could dish it out for sure, but don't dare talk about us and how we move and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. It's tough.
It is. It's a tough thing because if there were no black people in the KFC ad, we may not really have cared, but we might have been like, we like chicken. So I don't know.
I think what it is they with those ads, they need more diversity in those particular spots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can have a black person, but then, have a white person, have an Asian, you know what I'm saying? Mix it up.
Especially considering the ad. But I think that there was a good point about, even if you aren't offended by the ad, a person taking and showing only 3 images of black people doing this is probably someone that doesn't quite understand what they're doing. Or maybe they do, but they're ignoring it.
Could it be fair, considering they're in Canada? I don't know what the demographics is. Could it be fair that that's the demographic that they're trying to target, though?
Possibly. I mean, possibly. Well, here's the thing. I think not, only because the the director of marketing that put out the initial tweets came back and said, the spot is very diverse. My bad. I just thought the images were beautiful. So I think it might just be sometimes, a lack of awareness. You don't pay attention to things that you're not aware are sensitive, maybe, don't know the guy. That's why it helps to have a room where there's different voices. So maybe someone could have said, hey, that looks a little tricky, and they might have still gone ahead and done what they did, but at least the question would have been raised.
So it sounds like every CEO around the world needs to go through some sort of sensitivity training. Because you just don't know.
I mean, but they probably did. Didn't they do that in 2020 when we went through the racial reckoning? We had that, and there was an awful lot of that.
Did Canada follow suit, though?
I mean, they didn't have a racial reckoning, so maybe they didn't have to. I don't know how that works there.
Different circumstances over there.
Very different. So, shout out to them. Shout out to KFC,
I want some KFC right now, too.
Do you really?
Yeah, I love me some chicken.
I love chicken.
And watermelon.
Do you really? I do not like watermelon. Is iffy for me, not because of any of the connotations. Just, I'm not a melon girl. That's really the is. Like, I don't dislike watermelon, but it has to be the perfect melon. I'm not going to seek it out. And all of those other melons, cantaloupe, honeydew, keep them far away from me.
You don't know what you're missing.
Those are filler fruits.
So if you go to like a party, backyard boogie, and they got like the little fruit platter, you're not
pineapple. Look, pineapple,
which ain't a real fruit.
Pineapple is a real. How is it not a real fruit?
Is there a seed in there? Exactly.
Yes, it grows on a tree.
It's a hybrid plant.
I'm gonna have to look.
Trust me, and I love pineapple. It hurt my feelings when I found out about that, but
I eat pineapple. So listen, I like stone fruit. I like peaches, nectarine, stone fruits. So peaches, nectarines, stuff with a pit in it.
Okay.
Peaches, nectarines, apricots, all of those.
Okay.
I like cherries.
Okay.
Strawberries, grapes. Of course, my favorites are the grapes that aren't real. Not the cotton candy or any of those things, but I do like green seedless grapes. I realize all fruit should have a seed in order for it
100%.
to get the health. I know that.
Okay.
Sometimes we're going to make some exceptions. So
fair enough.
I'm
with you with the pineapple, but
I like pineapple, cherries, all of that. So I'm a big fruit girl. I like fruit a lot, but not melon.
Fair.
I like papaya, I like mango, passion fruit.
Ain't papaya a melon?
Is it?
It looked like it.
I don't know. You might. Is it a melon or a stone fruit? I don't know. We'll Google that. We're going to check into that. If you know, drop it in the chat and let us know, because I might just be missing on that. Tony Yayo says honeydew is the best melon, though.
Watermelon, honeydew, then cantaloupe.
Absolutely not. They're filler fruits.
It's nothing but water. That's why.
No. They're filler fruits because you use it to fill up a fruit cup or a fruit salad because you don't want to spend money on the better fruits. That's what it is. So they just put a bunch of those ugly, and then they throw in a blueberry or two, and I don't particularly care for blueberries either. But
watermelon is fire. Oh, you missing out.
It's okay.
You got to find you a nice, ripe, juicy one.
And I agree with that, but I'm not going searching. I could miss it. There's other fruit that I could get into, you know? Just don't work for me.
How about apples and bananas?
So green apples only. Granny Smith. Shout out to Granny Smith apples.
Wow.
You know, maybe every once in a while a Honey Crisp. I do not care for red apples as an adult.
You like sour and tart, huh?
Absolutely. There you go, right there.
Interesting. Okay.
I do.
You said green grapes.
Yes.
You just love sour.
I love sour and tart. That is
Okay.
me, because I'm so sweet. So opposites
Here
attract.
she go. Look at her.
That's what that is. But no, yeah, keep that filler fruit a little extra.
So you like lemons and limes?
I do, but I'm not eating a lemon or a lime like that. Like, no, but I like lime in my water, lemon water, very healthy, healthy. Key limes, yeah, I love key lime pie. That's not a dessert. That's a dessert, not a fruit. But
I can't rock with that.
Ooh, key lime pie is amazing.
I can't rock with that. Sorry.
No. What?
No.
You're not a pie person?
Peach cobbler.
I like peach cobbler. Love peach cobbler.
Cobbler's not a pie.
All day, all day, right? I don't. But you know what? I'm not really a pie person. So there's that. I like cobblers. I'll eat some pie, but I'm not like.
What do you like?
I like a lot of stuff. I just named all the fruits I like.
You did.
I like salads.
Okay.
I like stuff.
What's your favorite greens?
My favorite. Kale's a little bitter. Okay. No, I like mixed greens. So you got to give me mustard, collard, and kale. You got to mix them all together. Absolutely. So shout out to that. Empress TZ in the chat says, I'm not a melon girl either. My mom wore me out with it as a child. Tony Yayo says, pink ladies are the best, sour and sweet. Pink ladies are good apples. They're cool. And Empress TZ also says, but yellow watermelon sometimes. I did buy one yesterday at the Black Farmers Market at Hollywood Park, but my family's going to eat it down. And key lime pie is my favorite. Me and Empress rocking out. We are locked in. We are fam. Leave that melon over here, bring us some key lime pie and some other fruit, and we're good. Cool in the gang.
And it's crazy because watermelon is actually extremely healthy for you.
It is. It's all water. It's purifying.
Yeah.
I do not dislike watermelon. I just don't seek it out. That's not. I didn't say I didn't like. But honeydew and cantaloupe, keep those far away from me. When we come forward, we'll have more of my food oddities, and we'll also talk about the dirtiest cities in the United States. Yes, LA is on that list, and we got to talk about it. We'll get into more trending topics and headlines. We will have coming up in hour 2 an interview with the Essence Magazine VP. All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
It tastes good, I can't lie. It's like you're walking out the tanning saloon. When I pull you out the oven from baking, I got you on my mind. Rubbing that suntan lotion all up over your body. So amazing how you sparkle when I glaze you, swine. Hey, my pretty ham hock. It's so feminine the way you submitted and how you gave me power to massage me, to shower you with lemon water, marinate you in season and dipping you in chowder. Baby, it's like you at the spa the way you gently lay in the pan while enjoying your buttermilk treatment.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
The University of North Carolina confirms one faculty member was killed after a shooting on campus Monday. Police say they have a suspect in custody, but they're not releasing a name or possible charges. Black UNC Police Chief Brian James gave details at a news conference.
The lockdown of the campus remained while police verified the suspect's identity and conducted a comprehensive search for the weapon that was used in the shooting, which at this time has not been located.
Officials said classes will be canceled on Tuesday. Finally, President Biden will attend a ceremony in Alaska to mark the 22nd anniversary of the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. The White House announced Biden will take part in the event with troops and military families at Joint Base Mellendorf-Richardson. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds and get a $300 instant gift, good towards pillows and more.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like watering your lawn during the hottest time of the day and leaky faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Hello, I'm Will Jimeno. I'm a retired Port Authority police detective and a 9/11 survivor. For 13 hours, I was buried under the rubble of the World Trade Center. I was rescued thanks to brave people who were willing to put their own lives on the line to save mine. For 9/11 this year, a National Day of Service, I'll be paying it forward by taking time to help others. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
sip the juice. I got enough to go around, and the thought takes place uptown. I grew up on a sidewalk while on street talk, and then taught to Hawk, New York. I go to Queens for Queens to get the food from Brooklyn. Make money in Manhattan and never been tooken. Go uptown to the Bronx and boogie down, go strong on the island, recoup and lay around. Time to build my juice back
better
up.
come through with the Rakim from the Juice soundtrack. Really love Rakim. I remember being so sad that he and Dre, that whole connection never came about. Know the Ledge. So that was on the Juice soundtrack, but also Rakim, Eric B. and Rakim, properly, dropped an album that year, and it had my other cut on there, Mahogany, and it had, what is that beat? I can't remember what the sample is right now, but anyway, little hip-hop history, little bit. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you, VIPs. We have been having a exciting conversation, all sorts of topics, even the food stuff. But now we have to talk about the dirtiest cities in America. I know that seems like a random topic, but this is of concern to me, right? Personally. Just because I don't like filth. And who does? Everyone wants their city to be nice, May not always be able to be pristine, but you want your city to be well put together. It's healthy. We like to see the beauty of it. You can't see through that with, trash and what have you. So House Fresh, which is an indoor air quality company, they assembled a report ranking the dirtiest cities in the United States. To determine which city is the dirtiest, the team examined 12.3 million sanitation-related 311 complaints placed over the past year. And based on the number of reports made, they were looking at areas with populations of 100,000 or more, right? So they did this report, and it's based off of which area had the most 311 calls. And furthermore, what they did within that is break it down by zip code. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys who number one is. And then I'm going to skip to where LA falls on the list. And within LA, how the different cities break out. Because I thought that this was interesting. So the top spot on the list as the dirtiest city in America is Baltimore. They had 89,391 sanitation-related complaints, right, over the year. The next dirtiest city, Sacramento. Number 3, Charlotte. And number 4, Los Angeles, LA. We had quite a few. I think they said 21,616 sanitation-related complaints. But to take it a step even further, let's break down the dirtiest overall cities within LA. So number 1, it's not what you think, because I know I had my impressions of where I thought that this would land. It's actually the Valley. The San Fernando Valley is number 1. So next up, I don't remember what number 2 was, but number 3 hurt my heart. And this is kind of, all of it is why I brought it up. But this one, number 3 is right here in Lamert, the Crenshaw district, right where our KBLA studios are located. And that is as far as complaints. And I feel like the area is revitalizing and we're seeing a lot of change. But we talked about last week how LA is a sanctuary city. So other states send their homeless here. And we see the toll that it is taken around the city. So number 4, I forgot what it is within LA. But number 5 is right down the street, the West Adams area. So I say that to say, and I'm bringing this up, and I think we have a commercial running on the station right now about litter. So just think about it, because this is your home. These are the areas that you live in, that you care about. Helps prevent disease and so forth. So, look around, take care of things, report things if you need to. What I also think that it says, though, that people probably aren't looking at, is that I also feel like it means that you have a tapped in community, though, because if they are making those calls and putting in those complaints, then that means that they are aware and they want better for their neighborhood. So I hope that they are being taken seriously. Now, I know you want to know what the cleanliness city was in America. The city that claimed the top spot, I'm going to give you the zip code too, so just so that you can figure out exactly where in that city, in case these are things that you concern yourself with when you're thinking about, vacation, your next move, any of those things. This city only had 19 complaints related to cleanliness in the past year. I wonder if anyone in the chat can guess. Probably not. Well, it's Houston, Texas. So the zip code is 77546. Congratulations. You are the cleanest city in the United States. So, clap for that. So next up, speaking of health issues, right? There is a trend that has been going on around TikTok. And I really want some of you to weigh in on this. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's a parent and a child. The kid is standing at the kitchen counter watching their parents cook. They're having a moment, and all of a sudden, the parent cracks an egg on the kid's face. And some of the kids are really dramatic, especially the younger ones. They cry, they're sad, they're confused. Some of them are upset. Well, we've seen a variety of actions. But of course, the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a warning related to this TikTok trend. You see how social media has us all messed up? So the warning is about handling raw eggs, of course. And it's stated that, you still have to be careful when dealing with raw eggs. And, okay, you're having fun, and these pranks are cute, but salmonella poison is a real thing. And if you are doing these activities with children that are under 5, they're at a greater risk of falling seriously ill if they get infected. So a lot of pediatricians have spoken out about not only the physical harm that can come from this, but the emotional harm. A child trauma psychotherapist said, and I saw this on Yahoo, that technology influences human behavior, and she found it really, really difficult to watch all the clips. She said, we're talking about abuse disguised as having a bit of a laugh. She said, for a child, the most important relationship they have is with their caregiver, whomever, and that at any given moment they should be able to trust them and understand that this is the person that takes care of me. So she says it's not just the fact that the parents are cracking the eggs on their head, it's also that they're laughing at the children, and that for the kids this is humiliation and it's experienced as a lack of trust, and that the kids are confused and there's a power dynamic at play. And as the social media challenge has taken on a life of its own, kids are being swept up and no one is thinking about their feelings in any capacity. So, I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a little silly, but I felt like they were really just trying to have fun. I don't know. I don't think that I would crack an egg on a kid's head, but maybe, we all have different things that we laugh at. Some kids are silly. They might enjoy it. When we come forward, we'll have more trending topics and headlines. We will get into what's going on with Cardi B and her cover of a new magazine. We'll talk about Blac Chyna and her quest for child support. And we have an interview coming up next hour with Stephanie Noni Danivan of Essence Magazine. All of that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward. The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. We were talking about parents busting their kids in the face with eggs. The TikTok challenge. Now listen, the pediatricians are very serious about the damage they feel that this can cause to kids. They also mentioned that all of these trends come at a time when we're starting to crack down on the rights of children as far as on the internet and online safety for kids, because the internet is forever. And granted, one or two pranks, big deal, maybe not, depends. But think about this stuff lives forever. So your kids in high school, somebody finds it and shares it with the whole school that their mom busted them in the head with an egg and they were crying, maybe did something embarrassing, and boom, all over again. So they also feel like, it's a bullying aspect to it to a degree, not just for future reference with other kids, but that the parents are low-key bullying their kids. I don't know. I mean, I guess you have to check the temperament of a child. Each child is going to respond differently, but you should at least make sure that they're at an age where they can understand the joke and maybe laugh and not feel, ashamed attached to it. Anyway, from one egg conversation to, well, no, never mind. That was going to be a bad joke. Bad joke. So let's talk about Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna has officially filed to collect child support for her 10-year-old son with Tyga. She is seeking joint custody. We know Blac Chyna no longer uses that. Well, she kind of does, but she's going by her government name, Angela White. And so she's filed for joint custody, and child support. Remember, she mentioned a few years back that she didn't get child support from neither Tyga nor Rob, to which they both responded that they kept the children the majority of the time. But we know that recently Angela has changed her life. She has gotten on a fitness journey. She has accepted God into her life. She's taken out some of her fillers and plastic surgery enhancements because she wants a better, more, I guess, pious life. Maybe that's what the word I'm looking up. So Tyga reportedly took to social media on the 25th in response to China filing the motion and saying, 10 years later, nah, stick to your schedule, Saturday to Monday. Tokyo Toni, China's mother, also responded. She responded to one of the posts that was put on Instagram blog, The Neighborhood Talk, and said that Tyga should be ashamed of himself. She said, you should be paying child support. What kind of man are you? She said she's never asked you for a dime for her son. You should be ashamed. Why are you putting pressure where it doesn't have to be? You could have come in here, but you think it's good. Don't let me stop you before I go up one side and slide down another. So it sounds like Tokyo Tony's like, don't have me release some info. We know Tokyo is not shy with whatever she has to add to the mix. She also said he has not paid child support because there is no reason for him to when he has the child the majority of the time. Well, that wasn't Tokyo Tony. That actually was a commenter. And someone else said, I actually agree with Tyga. She needs to go slow. He needs consistency before they change everything. Well, I mean, I would stand to reason that them changing as far as whether it's sole custody, joint custody, or whatever, isn't going to necessarily have a lot of effect on the child. But who's to say that the child doesn't want to spend more time with their mother or a different schedule? And lastly, these are the things that happen when you have children. You got to pay child support no matter what. It goes down. So we'll see what the outcome of it is. Rob has remained pretty silent. We know that 6-year-old Dream spends a great deal of time with her side of the family. We know that Chloe said that she considers herself like a second mother to Dream. So we'll see what happens. I guess it was back in 2020, Black China bragged about not having any child support from her children's father. She said, my biggest flex, just honestly taking care of my kids by myself as a single parent with no child support. That's what's up. So we'll see what happens with that, how it all shakes down. We know that we never like to see that stuff in the headlines, but it happens. And, he does have a point if he has them the majority of the week, but we've been through this. The children have to be in the same lifestyle from one parent's house to the other. And maybe this is all just a formality too, because earlier this month, China was in an interview with Entertainment Tonight, and she said that she has good co-parenting relationships, with both of her children's fathers. So hopefully it'll work it all out. Remember, Tyga also said that he pays $40,000 a year for his son's private school. That was when Rob chimed in and said he pays $37,000 a year for Dream's private school. He handles every single medical expense, yada, yada, yada. But China is turning over a new leaf, and maybe part of that is taking more of an active role in that manner in her children's lives. But, she needs the funds to do it. We shall see. We'll get into all of that and more as the story develops. So coming up, I know I mentioned that we're going to get into the 16 highest selling rappers of all time based purely on album sales. This is according to the Recording Industry Association of America, so there's no disputing it. But I do think the list is kind of interesting. And I wonder, does it impact, and of course we'll talk about it more when we get into it, your feelings around hip hop and who you feel like the top dogs are and how it should all roll out. We're going to talk about all of that a little later. But of course, I mentioned Cardi B. And Cardi is on the cover of Vogue Mexico for their September 2023 issue. She posted it on Instagram, of course. And in the interview, she talked about what inspired her and Offset to record the new single Jealousy that we all seem to have kind of forgotten about. But what she said was, there are many female rappers out there who are not judged in the same way that I'm judged. Cardi said this. I don't have room to fail. I can't lose. I think there has been a revolution in social media. People today have become more sensitive, but also more brutal. When I started using the internet, I didn't so much get into the lives of the artists that I was into. I didn't want to cancel them. I didn't hate them or try and ruin their lives. You know, so Cardi said that her husband and she wanted to make a song like that because the haters didn't understand that even though they're talking about us, they can't stop us. They can't keep us out of their mouth. There are many people who always tell us things that they are attacking us all the time, and we wanted to take all that weight off of our shoulders. She said that they are tired of responding to people on the internet and decided it would be better to put it in the music. We know that Cardi also is dealing with a lawsuit that she won from a blogger, a YouTuber, Tasha K. And Tasha reportedly offered to settle the lawsuit with six figures, even though she owes Cardi $3.9 million. She requested to pay $220,000 out of the $3.9 million that she owes. She's filed for bankruptcy. She says she doesn't have the money to pay it, so we'll see what that happens because Cardi is relentless with that. As far as the cheating and some of the conversation that was discussed in reference to Offset in the interview, Cardi said that it's difficult for her to navigate her feelings for him while listening to and seeing the fans' opinions of him online. She said, if you love somebody and you stop being with them and you're depressed and social media is telling you not to talk to that person because they cheated, you're not really happy on the inside until you have that conversation. Then if you get back with them, it's like, how could you? You've let us all down. People that are in marriages for years, when they say till death do us part, they're not talking about the little arguments like if you leave the fridge open. They're talking about everything. So Cardi is saying, give her some grace. She's married. It's till death do us part. And we're going to ride. And, you guys make her feel bad when you try to give her a hard time. But we'll see what goes down with it. Tony Yayo in the chat, going back to that Houston being the cleanest city, says Friendswood is in the suburbs of the southern part of Houston, somewhat affluent and clean. So that is where the cleanest city is in America, according to this study. When we come forward, we'll get into the top 16 selling hip-hop artists of all time, and we will have our interview with Essence VP Stephanie. I just blanked on Stephanie's last name. Noni is her nickname now, and she's a singer. All that and more, you're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
Right jaw, 'cause I don't like y'all. I'm hype when nightfall. Smooth, but I move like an army. Bulletproof down, face brothers try to bomb me. Putting brothers to rest like Elliot Ness. 'Cause I don't like stress. Streets ain't a place for innocent bystanders to stand. Nothing's gonna stop the plan. I'll chill like Pacino, kill like De Niro.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
The University of North Carolina confirms one faculty